Before we begin, thank you very much to Gwenzy for joining the Patreon campaign. Thank you very much for the help. Thank you for helping to keep the lights on. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who helps do that. If you think the daily content is worth $1 or $2 a month, please consider pitching in on my Patreon link in the description below. You get a few perks, you get Discord access. Higher tiers, you get review and video requests. So anything is appreciated. It all goes into keeping everything going. So, you saw my recent review, or at least I hope you saw my recent review of the brand new Legacy United Cybertron Starscream. It is a beautiful toy with a beautiful range of options, articulation, and little bonus features. It's a fantastic toy. And Hasbro, thanks to their fan streams, has actually hinted the fact that they are planning to reuse it for other Seeker designs. They kind of lampshaded the fact, oh yeah, well, because we never reuse Seeker designs, right? So they've left the idea out in the air. It's out in the open. What do we repaint this into? Now, granted, you are not without a lack of options. We're going to take a look at the options here, and then I'm going to make a case for what I want, which should be no surprise to you if you've watched this channel for long enough. I will fully admit, this video is kind of just for me because I want to make even if I have to kick off the campaign myself, I will try to make people aware of why this thing needs to exist. So, we could go the easy route, right? So if we're going to talk about reuses for this mold, we could go the easy route. And that starts with things like the year of the version, like the premium series, the platinum edition Starscream. That's basically the G1 colors. And granted, it doesn't wear it badly. It does look decent enough. And that's probably the easiest thing they could do. But hear me out here. Hear me out here. What about Skywarp? What about Skywarp? So, here's the thing. So, this is all based on that War Within Starscream design, which admittedly, that design, like all the Seekers in those issues had different designs across them. But we have kind of seen this in a few different ways. The titanium version of the War Within design, for instance, showed a Skywarp, and that Skywarp was really pretty. However, look at just how well this mold wears it. Hasbro, look, this is a mechanical. This is me showing you the color layout. I'm doing the work for you. You know, you've made the mold. Just make this. Just make this. Don't get me wrong. This is something that I've been after for a long time. Like, when that mold first came out, I was thinking, like, that mold would just sing in black and purple. But, like, fingers crossed, and it never happened. And then that kind of died out, and then something fired everything up again. Like, every neuron exploded all at once, telling me, like, okay, now this doubly needs to be a thing, because Make Toys showed this thing off. Look at how good that is! Look at how beautiful that toy is. That is a gorgeous toy. You know, and I'm torn. Like, I'm torn. I don't know if I want the version I came up with more, if I want this version more. Now, I'm almost like gaining hope that this is more possible now, because Make Toys is pretty much surviving just on rerunning Seeker molds at this point, and they're doing this whole, like, colorverse thing. So literally, like, if it's a Seeker, it's likely you get that repaint at some point. Maybe they pull it out of the mothballs now that Cybertron Starscream is out at retail shelves, and now people have, like, more awareness, and maybe they want a premium version now. Maybe this is more likely. A boy can dream. A boy can dream. But nevertheless, this thing popped up. It immediately lit the fire again, and then they never released it. And it drives me nuts. Someone break into Make Toys HQ and steal this for me. Not literally. I'm joking. Let's go into, like, the logics. Okay, so we'll put Skywarp aside just for now. And then we'll just take a look at the other possibilities this mold could have, okay? So I think the most well-known and most possible is going to be Shattered Glass. And you tell me, wait a minute, TJ, they've already done Shattered Glass Starscream recently. Yes, they did. They did it from the War for Cybertron Siege version of the figure, which is also, to be fair, a Tetrajet style design, so you can kind of see where they're coming from with using that mold. However, the robot mode is distinctly G1 Starscream, which does not fit the original design of the character. You know, to me, the fact that the characters are being used as in like unfamiliar molds, I think is what plays into their new identities in the Shattered Glass universe. I make this argument with Goldbug. You know, Goldbug in BotCon was originally a Hotshot remold. Cybertron Hotshot, the good Hotshot. However, when they redid the new one, they just kind of reused the same old Cliffjumper mold and just gave it the Goldbug head and shattered color scheme. It just didn't work. You know, now it's just a mean Bumblebee. You know, it doesn't have that, like, extra gravitas of, oh, he's the sports car now. He's, like, big and tough now. You know? It takes away from it somewhat. And I kind of felt the same way about their new take on Shattered Glass Starscream. Because they added new parts to try and emulate the Cybertron silhouette a little bit. It didn't work. It really didn't work. And, you know, it's Shattered Glass. It's a popular concept that sells. I can absolutely see Hasbro trying again with this version of the mold. Just saying. Also, just saying, we do know, according to listings, there is a new Cybertron Hotshot on the way. I wouldn't be surprised if that one, too, could get the Shattered Glass treatment down the run. Like, maybe 2-pack the two. I can absolutely see them doing that. If we're going to talk traditional Seekers, the original Voyager mold really didn't get that many reuses, so you don't have too many options to explore. They did a Durge, which is a really weird pull, and it's a very weird one. I've always felt like they just did this one just to retain the name, and it was Universe 2.0. You know, repaints were all over the place. No one knew, really, you know, so this one was chaotic. Now, I will tell you, the new mold does have a few things that do make this a little bit more likely. We mentioned in the review that the cannon wings can actually pop off and reattach down on the legs. And that does give him the silhouette of Durge. What would make it even more so is if they swapped the head, something I didn't mention in the review. The cavity that stores the head in vehicle mode actually does have quite a bit of extra space where you could feasibly fit a cone. So the option of getting a Durge from that mold is actually far more viable than you would think. It is still a very weird color scheme. I don't think it quite suits the mold, but it is possible. There is another color scheme that is derived from a G1 cone head that this mold was also used for that I think is a far more likely choice, and that would be Thrust. Thrust color scheme was used for the only release of this mold during Cybertron's run. A 2-pack with Vector Prime as a Toys R Us exclusive. Vector was untouched. Starscream, for some reason, was in this color scheme. And you know what? It still looks good. It still looks really, really good. I think it works. It's odd. You know, kind of an inversion of Cybertron Starscream's colors. But it works. It actually does kind of work. And again, this is another one where we've seen it as Thrust in other incarnations. I think the Titanium was even redone as Thrust, kind of similar to this. And again, you have those alterations to the mold that would allow it to look far more like a traditional Conehead if you so chose. Now, this is just me going over this. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of repaints from the actual Voyager mold. You've pretty much seen all of them already. However, there is another direction that we can go that gives us a lot more options, and that would be the Legends class. This is one of the best Legends class toys that they had ever done. You know, especially back at that time when you really weren't expecting much from a toy this size. You know, when some of them were coming out barely above a Micromaster as far as functionality, This one got you ball joints in the shoulders. This one got you the working, like flip out gimmicks. Not spring loaded, of course, but he had his gimmick weapons. Ball jointed hips, ball jointed knees. He had a great range of motion for this little thing. It's a fun, tiny version of the Starscream design, and it was done up as Thrust for a multi-pack. And yeah, it looks good. It's kind of weird. It is kind of weird because this one was Thrust, the previous one was Starscream, but they look very much like they just copied each other's homework at some point. So it's a funny little homage. It's a funny way how that worked out. But again, a little bit more likely now. That said, there's the third. Ramjet was also done from the Legends version. We could technically have Cybertron versions of all three of the original Coneheads if Hasbro decided to go nuts, because there is precedent for their existence. Which is kind of crazy to think about. You think about this. This Starscream mold is such a good palette for the traditional repaints, but 3 times over, Hasbro technically 4 if you include both of the maroon ones. 4 times over, Hasbro opted to go with Coneheads, not the traditional Seekers. And remember, this design is all based on the original Tetrajet, so we never saw the Coneheads in those forms. As far as we know, they're just Earth vehicles all the time. Never were, Tetrajets. This is as close as that concept ever came. So it would be more fitting to do Thundercracker and Skywarp, but for some reason, no, Conehead. Weird choices. Probably trademark driven. But c'est la vie. I mean, there are still options. They're on the table. And again, it don't look bad. It don't look bad. This mold is like Guile's theme of toys. Like, you can put any color scheme on it you want. It's going to look good because the mold looks good. Case in point, the other Ramjet. Now, this is based off of I believe, a Toys R Us exclusive Ramjet from Universe, where they did Armada Skywarp in this like bright white and blue colors with some hits of red and black. And I hate it. I hate that repaint. I absolutely hate that repaint because it just doesn't look right. Like, it doesn't look like a menacing Decepticon. It gets weirder when Fiction started making him out to be a herald of Unicron. Unicron has a very bright, cheery-looking herald. It does not look like a minion of the Chaos Bringer, It looks like the closest a Seeker ever got to just being an Autobot. Oh well, but you take it, you adjust the colors a little bit, you put it on this mold, it looks good. That looks good. And again, one I would not mind seeing. Mind, I'm super high on the mold right now. I do think it's a fantastic figure overall, even if you do not have my deep bias for Cybertron Starscream's design. Even failing that, I still think it's a really, really good toy. So, you know what? I think I'm justified in going, like, I could go for literally all of these, and I wouldn't complain. This could be the new War for Cybertron sideswipe as far as mold reusage goes. I would be completely cool with that. Completely cool with that. There are traditional Seeker designs that got used for this particular mold as well, though. Let's see Sunstorm, and again, I don't mind how it looks in these colors. It's weird. It's a very weird choice, but you know what? Again, they were trying to keep a hold of some trademarks, and again, it works. It just kind of works. It's just a universally good mold to do whatever you want. As far as it's a Seeker color scheme, it's going to work on this toy. It just is. But now you're saying, like, okay, you're arguing for Cybertron Skywarp here. Okay, fine. You're arguing that, okay, the mold's got a lot of reuses, but there's one you want. But you can't have that because that wasn't Cybertron Skywarp. No, this is Cybertron Skywarp because Cybertron decided, hey, what if Thundercracker was a completely different type of jet? Starscream can be his big, menacing Cybertronian space fighter, but Thundercracker, We're going to make him the traditional kind of seeker, but still kind of tuned towards Cybertron's, design aesthetic. He's got a big missile arm now, So yeah, it's a weird take, and that Thundercracker is a very different color scheme from the original. It's mostly gray with blue where you would normally expect black. And the Skywarp is kind of the same. The Skywarp is kind of like a little bit too bright for me to really see Decepticon. It's purple, but it's also white and red, and it's again, a really goofy color scheme. So technically you're right. If we did that toy and we called it Cybertron Starscream, Cybertron Skywarp, it technically wouldn't be right because this is the color scheme. However, this exists. This is official. This is from San Diego Comic-Con. This is an exclusive they released. No, I don't know why it comes with a black Autobot cyber key. I don't know why a Decepticon, he was sold as a Decepticon. Don't know why it came with an Autobot key. No, of course it doesn't fit inside him. This is when they kind of viewed the cyber keys as that like cute little collectible that came with all your toys. So they thought, let's make an exclusive key just for Comic-Con. And it's, just a basic black key. But you know what? Fair enough. But no, Cybertron Skywarp, the way I want it, exists. But it has to be the Legends version. That's the only one that has officially been released. It does give us a starting point. And it does give precedent. This design has officially been released as Skywarp. So it is absolutely on the table. And you know what? Lately, Hasbro's been kind of big on doing new versions of some of its BotCon exclusives. Now, we've already mentioned the new Shattered Glass toys in this video. That's just one example. And then we've had like Flame War. Flame War's had brand new toys, and Generation 2 Breakdown has had new toys and is likely going to have another new toy. I think that's already been in the listings too. So they're not really like, it's not really like, well, it's an exclusive, so we can't redo it. No. If anything, it almost seems like they're pulling for those sources in order to get reuses out of some of these molds. It's sitting right there. It's right there. Do you need a better visual example? Because I already did up the colored version for you. Would it change your mind, Hasbro, if you saw it in person? Because this does exist. It is in my possession. This Cybertron Skywarp was done by Grim Locamus over on Twitter, or at Chrome Tyranno. This was a gift that he gave me at TFCon Orlando. And it's just gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. I like the original take he had on it. Mine might have had silver instead of white, but he kind of kept the color layout of the Legends toy and expanded it in his own way, which is awesome. And it looks so good. Here's the vehicle mode too. If you want to just see, like, continue just like how good that this toy can look. By the way, if anyone's got a broken version of this figure that still has both of the tail fins, hit me or him up, because mine is still incomplete and I would love to actually kind of finish that toy off. Don't sacrifice a working one. Don't sacrifice one that's just missing, non-essential parts. But, like, if both the legs are broken off, but it still has the tail fins, let me know. Even, any version. It can be Durge. I think Durge is the easiest one to find. Point being, yes, even if I have to be the one person screaming it from the hills, I will get this campaign started. I will start the movement. You saw me. I'm the one who screamed about translucent plastic when everyone thought I was crazy. And now everyone knows. They know now. And I will do the exact same thing. This toy has to exist in some official fashion. And I will just keep pushing until it is. And I don't know. You're along for the ride now. So that's going to do it for me. That's my argument. That's how many ways we can reuse this mold, and the one way I want it to be reused. Probably not happening, but I can hope. So, there's my video. This one's just for me. So, thanks for letting me ramble for a while. And thank you as always for watching. I will see you next time.